some more Marines, and then to kill them with a sweet Colossus. So what Sid Black is talking about is more forcing. All right, this is more forcing. So why is that forcing? If I make air units as Protoss, I kill any Terran player who only makes Marauders and only makes tanks and Hellions. I kill any Terran player who doesn't make a lot of Marines early on. So how do I exploit what's left over? How do I deal with what's left over? What is my counter in that situation? And of course, it makes sense to say, if he has a lot of Marines, I should make a Colossus. But for any of that to work, you kind of have to have a lot of stuff, you know? A Colossus isn't going to be the key. It's having a Colossus and a good unit mix against his not-so-great army. Because, I mean, honestly, if he makes a ton of Marines and you have one Colossus and like 4 Zealots, he'll kill you and you'll just die. So, I mean, in that case, the Marines are still able to kill the Colossus. This idea of, counter doesn't work so well. And on one basing, the reason I'm just leery of this, I'm going to make you commit to Marines and then make a Colossus, is that's just such a deep, deep, deep investment that it feels a little bit, feels a little flimsy. And that's the sort of thing that you definitely need to test for it to be very, very clear there. But for Protoss, I like a little bit more focus early on. Now, for instance, we saw White Raw do something similar when we were doing the White Raw special in the early 150s, where White Raw, or I think the late 140s or something like that of the Day 9 Daily, White Raw was making a Void Ray, and his opponent was making all this Marine stuff and all this tech, and then what was White Raw doing? He was getting Dark Templar, and he was getting Zealot leg speed. That's kind of going up this path, and then going up this path. It's okay to kind of do just two, but if you go down Warp Gates, and then go for a Stargate, and then go for a Robotics Facility so you can get Colossus, that's just a little bit too much. Just a little teensy bit too much. Not to say that it's bad, but that it's so hard and hyper-duper advanced that if you played perfectly with that strategy, you would be on par with someone who is playing just fine with a much easier strategy. So I'm just a little bit like, leery of that. Let's go ahead and just take a few more questions. We've been going for 45 minutes. I should just take 2 more questions. Here's a good question by Alpha Meridian, who says, could Socke have transitioned to Immortals once it was shown that Marrow was going Marauder heavy? It also uses the robotics facility. Now, see, there's an interesting sort of query, because that is what I would call, do you have a response up for this? And remember, how do we think about responses? You say, okay, I'm going to start doing this and do that from then on. So do I die before then? And with the Immortals, I'm a little bit worried that he would have died beforehand. Just coming back over here to the main screen where the game is actually still loaded up. Let me just actually remove this thing so we can actually just see in the game. I actually think it was closer to around here. Oh yeah, look, the Colossus isn't even quite out yet. Is that Colossus done? Yeah, let me just scoot forward. Wow, it apparently happened quite a ways into the game. Yeah, so here's Socke. There's his first Colossus coming up. The second one's en route. And Socke really has no idea what his opponent is doing. So the question is, can he respond appropriately at this point? Well, here come these. All right, here come the Colossi. Oh my god. Oh no. Okay. Well, shit. Now I see a bunch of Marauders. Is there enough time to get an Immortal? I don't think so. I mean, here comes the Marine Roast, which, by the way, was totally awesome. And what happens now if a Immortal pops out? Well, that's a lot of Marauders for just one poor little Immortal. So, I mean, conceivably things to try out are, maybe I should get more Zealots, because that was pretty much all Stalkers. I can go Zealot Colossus and still completely smash a player who goes all-out Marine at the start, but I also have a little bit of ways to deal with the Marauder. Again, if you're in that forcing period, you need to worry about the after. So I will take this one last question. Anytime I'm like trying to find the questions, I just listen to I just hum the Banjo-Kazooie theme song. Yeah. You know, here's a great general question by Aries169. Dear Day 9, the first game showed Socke getting forced back from his initial push by Marrow's ghosts. As a Protoss player, I also have lots of trouble with them. How do I deal with them? So I want you to use just the basic concept that we talked about today. Forcing or responding. So let's deal with forcing. You would say, I'm having trouble with ghosts. What is the easiest way to completely smash a ghosting player? And let's say, after some testing, you find out that High Templar rushing crushes. You go Slow Zealot, High Templar. Or should I say, probably like something like Slow Zealot, Sentry, High Templar. And you feed back all the ghosts. That's your play, right? And why is that a force? Because you do it blindly with the knowledge of, I want him to go ghosts because I can crush that. And then suddenly your new problem is not, how do I kill the ghosts? Your new problem is, how the hell do I stay alive against anything else? Cool. That is one way to use forcing to find a solution. The other one is to say, now what's a good general, how do I say this? So a response would be, how soon can I figure out if he's going ghosts? So let's say you do something like get a fast robotics facility with a fast observer. And once that observer's out, you send it to your opponent's base. And if you see him going mass marauder and not doing any ghosts, then you make immortals out of that robotics facility and zealots everywhere else. Seems good. But if you do see a ghost academy, you just suddenly make a whole bunch of gateways. You respond to the situation at hand. Or you suddenly get the Colossus. So that way you can have a nice muscular unit there. And I actually literally use this exact technique when facing tons of problems. I say to myself, now do I want to force him out of that? Or do I want to figure out that he's doing that and respond to it? And this is why I hate the use of the word counter, because it's so confounding, right? It's so like, oh, it's just a Colossus. Yeah, there you go. And that's just not how this game works. It's a real-time strategy game. It's about time. So you need to budget your time and when you get things in time to win. The same way in chess, it's not about that you can move the piece, it's when you move what piece where. Instead of it being time, it's the number of turns you have available to do stuff with. So always ask yourself, I can either force him not to do this, and then figure out how to stay alive against everything else, or I can figure out what he's doing and respond appropriately. And with that, I'm done. So once again, show up to my launch party. It's going to be at Harvey Mudd College in Claremont, California. That's in northeast Los Angeles, for any of you who are curious. We're going to have all sorts of community content. We're going to have the finals of the King of the Beta tournament. We have some tip-top names in there, just to name a few, who have confirmed participants in this. We have White Rock, QXC. We have Huck, Idra, a lot of top European players, Demaga. Ooh, it's like super awesome. So there'll be a huge, gigantic announcement about that, and then I'll begin casting all the round of 8 matches leading right up to the Final Four at that event. And thank you so much. Bye, everyone. I'm delighted to be back. See you tomorrow, 7 p.m. Peace.